It will be my objective to phase out Social Security, to pull it up by the roots and get rid of it. People who advise me politically always tell me that's dangerous, and I tell them, in that case, it's not worth my running. That's why I'm doing this, to get rid of that. Medicare and Medicaid are of the same sort and need to be pulled up.
Not taking anyone off of what they paid into so far, but there is some waste, abuse, and fraud in Medicare that we can take those numbers back and add to our general coffers and our Treasury. And on the front end on Social Security, I think there's a way when people are living longer, they're retiring later, that on the front end we can move that retirement age back a little bit.
We got to bring the Democrats in and talk about Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare. There's hundreds of billions of dollars to be saved, and we know how to do it. We just have to have the stomach to actually take those challenges on.
And the founders warned us, you got to keep these things under constraint, or
this
else.
is an existential threat. Is it your view this is an
absolutely
to our American way of life?
Absolutely, yeah. Our whole form of government.
Nothing is sacrosanct. Nothing. They're going to put everything on the table.
That's what they told lawmakers. Everything is on the table, and that includes Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
John Thune, who is the Senate incoming Republican leader, who also met with Elon Musk this morning, told me that perhaps mandatory programs are areas that they're looking to make cuts in, like Social Security, for example.
Now that Republicans are set to control our lives for at least the next 2 years, well, they've gone all in on reviving one of their favorite lines of attack: eliminating Social Security and other social benefit programs under the guise of fiscal conservatism. But as Representative Katie Porter points out,
this is how much Social Security adds to our national deficit. Zero. Nothing. Social Security is not debt financed. In fact, by law, you cannot use debt spending to fund Social Security. And in fact, we currently have over $2.9 trillion surplus. So, do we need to think about how to make Social Security as strong and as viable for future generations as we can? Absolutely. But it is nuts to try to blame Social Security and blame working Americans who pay for the program and suggest that Social Security is in any way responsible for the national debt.
It doesn't get much simpler than that. Social Security funds itself through people like us paying into it. It has nothing to do with the debt our country takes on to fund other programs. It has everything to do with people like this perceiving any money spent by the government to benefit the greater public as undeserved entitlements that only a small club of people should be able to have access to.
One last question.
Go ahead.
Entitlements ever be on your plate?
At some point they will be, and at the right time we will take a look at that. You know, that's actually the easiest of all things if you look, because it's such a big percentage.
If you're willing to do something.
If you don't cut something in entitlements, you'll never really deal with the debt.
We'll be cutting, but we're also going to have growth like you've never had before.
You changed your outlook on how to handle entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Mr. President. It seems like something has to be done, or else we're going to be stuck at 120% of debt to GDP forever.
So first of all, there is a lot you can do in terms of entitlements, in terms of cutting.
You've tapped Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, to head up this Department of Government Efficiency.
Correct.
Which proposes cuts to the federal government. I think a lot of people hear that and they get concerned about Medicare and Social Security and
not
Medicaid
going to have anything to do.
And defense spending. You won't touch Medicare, Social Security?
Abuse, fraud.
Okay.
No, I said to people, we're not touching Social Security, other than we might make it more efficient, but the people are going to get what they're getting.
Okay, so the entitlements
and
off the table.
And we're not raising ages or any of that stuff.
Okay,
no,
off the table.
I won't do it.
You know, regardless of how he's trying to spin it now, you can't trust the Republican Party to protect Social Security and other spending programs because it's directly contradictory to their never-ending crusade to strip the government down for parts and sell them off to the highest private bidder. Now, that shouldn't be a controversial opinion because it's the logical end of a small government, pro-private business political party. But you'll never hear that on cable news, because those networks are, well, they're beholden to the same small club of oligarchs, if you will, trying to privatize every aspect of our daily lives that they can. And the saddest and frankly scariest part of this racket is that many Republican voters fall for the culture war distractions meant to keep them from recognizing this reality.
He's a godly man. He's working for God, for darn sure. Number two, he really cares about us. He cares about us. He cares about what happens to us. He cares about our country. He didn't come in there because he wanted the money. He's got money. He is coming there because he is actually working for God, and he wants to help us, and he wants to get us to he wants to make America great again. And I it's true, but I think he's going to make it even greater, because I don't think, no matter what they try to do to stop him, he's going to come back, because he's working for God, and God's on his side.
It says what goes woke goes broke.
It says everything woke turns to and what does that mean?
Well, actually, you want to read it again?
Everything woke turns to.
You like it?
What is woke to you?
What is woke to you?
Well, I'm asking you because you're wearing the shirt.
It's anti-white. You know that.
Woke is anti-white?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I work construction, yep.
Does it bother you that Trump famously didn't pay a lot of his construction employees?
Who?
In Atlantic City, a lot of the people who worked on his casinos, people lost their livelihoods.
Says who?
The people.
It's just known people?
It is a known thing, yeah.
Okay. Yep. I'm sure they deserved it.
It is so unbelievably infuriating to see so many people who have infinitely more in common with each other than Donald Trump and his billionaire buddies. But when the opposition party offers little to nothing in terms of improving someone else's material living conditions, constantly fails to live up to their promises, and remains beholden to the same moneyed interest as the Republicans, we really can't be too surprised.
They're going to destroy Social Security because millions of people are coming onto our country, and they're putting them on Social Security. They're putting them on Medicare. They're putting them on all of our things. They're destroying it. They are destroying Social Security.
Are you retired?
No, I'm still working.
You're still working. Would you like to be retired?
Of course.
Of course. When do you think you can actually fully retire?
When I'm 6 feet under.
Republican claims that they don't want to cut benefits don't match the Republican House's actions. The current Republican Study Committee budget, representing 80% of House Republicans, has proposed cutting $1.5 trillion of Social Security benefits over the next 10 years. It would reduce the benefit formula and raise the retirement age to 69, which would especially hurt low-income retirees. But let's say that Social Security benefit cuts really are off the table. If cuts are truly off the table, then that leaves only one other option to prevent insolvency: raise revenue. There is no third option. And that means it's time to get to work identifying smart, fair ways to raise revenue, fund the Social Security Trust Fund, and preserve and protect benefits. Fortunately, there are solutions that would both extend Social Security solvency indefinitely with zero benefit cuts and make our tax system fairer, like my Medicare and Social Security Fair Share Act. Right now, the cap on Social Security contributions means that if you're a CEO making $10 million a year, you only pay into Social Security for the first week of your paycheck. A school teacher or a nurse, however, will pay into the program with every single paycheck. That just isn't fair. My Medicare and Social Security Fair Share Act would fix that by requiring contributions to Social Security on all wages above $400,000. Further, people living off of non-wage income make no Social Security contributions. That's not fair either, and my bill would also fix that. Those making more than $400,000 in investment income would contribute just like those who are working. These reforms raise enough revenue to make Social Security, and by the way, Medicare too, solvent indefinitely as far as the...
There are solutions to the problems that currently exist with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and other social programs, but they require elected officials who are motivated to fix them. The reality is that Republicans have no motivation to solve these problems because, well, their ultimate goal is to phase out and eventually eliminate these institutions altogether. That's why they keep pushing the same privatization schemes over and over. They're not looking to preserve these programs. They're looking to dismantle them entirely.